Always talk about the two solutions, one state solution to, but most of the Israelis, they're looking for a third solution.
Which is?
Ethnic cleansing.
I don't support
getting
that
everyone
solution.
out of here. That's what they want to do.
So I watched Rudy, who I think is amazing, and in no way do I want this video to come off as a criticism of Rudy. And it made me realize something. As a people who really do seek to have peace with our neighbors, we constantly find ourselves living in this dream fantasy world that our enemies feel and think the same as us. Rudy, time and time again, calls the Palestinians and calls the Arabs our cousins, our brothers.
I see Palestinians as my family, as my cousins.
When he greets the Muslim opponent in Arabic, he gets laughed at.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Muhammad. It's nice to meet you. I'm glad to be able to speak.
You're funny.
We may see them as our brothers or our cousins, but they don't see us as cousins or brothers or partners to peace. They never have. And they probably never will. Unfortunately, as someone who did believe in peace, it's a really depressing thought. As these narratives continue to get stronger about a Nakba, about a revisionist history of displacement, of victimhood, I honestly don't see how we can ever get past this point and build a peace.
I see you as my family, like I've said before. These are not just, these are not talk because we need to hear it over and over and over because we're denying it and we're rejecting it, and that exists on both sides.
I commend Rudy for continuing to fight for it. I'm just a little bit more realistic. In this video, a woman who identifies as Palestinian claims to be a descendant of Canaan.
That's
from
exactly
Canaan,
what I'm going to answer.
where Palestinians are
exactly
from.
what I'm going to answer.
And she's arguing with Rudy that Jews are not indigenous to the land of Israel. But then she also 5 minutes later agrees that she herself is a descendant of Jews.
If you did your DNA, I think your DNA would actually come Jewish. The same way that the Jews who had an experience in Europe comes up Jewish.
What? I agree with you that my ancestors are Jewish. So yes, my ancestors were Jewish.
Her family comes from Jews who lived in the land, who eventually were forced to convert by the colonization of the Arabs. And this is a concept that is very difficult for them to understand. No matter how much we try to explain history, explain what settlement means, explain what colonizers are and are not, they will always see us as colonizers, especially people who look like me. Putting my personal story aside, because my family actually has roots coming from Hebron for thousands of years and also temporarily lived in Egypt, they truly believe that Ashkenazi Jews have no connection to the land or to the Middle East. And that argument actually is so flawed because Jews who came from Iraq, Iran, Morocco were displaced for the same amount of time that Ashkenazis were displaced. So just because their skin color is different than mine means they have more rights to actually be in Israel? Anyways, I digress. Rudy consistently acknowledges Palestinian grievances.
It's very sad that you have so much pain in your heart and have gone through so much.
While the Palestinians and the pro-Palestinians not once ever admit that there were legitimate grievances and legitimate atrocities done to the Jews prior to the State of Israel and following the establishment of the State of Israel. They fail to recognize that Jews were ethnically cleansed from Judea and Samaria in 1948 in the war that they started. When they talk about the Nakba and the displacement, they refuse to acknowledge that Jews and Arabs were displaced, that Jewish villages were destroyed, that Jewish homes were stolen. So we can continue to acknowledge their grievances forever and eternity, but all we do is legitimize their resistance while they continuously refuse to acknowledge our history, our connection to the land, our DNA, our grievances. So I'm sorry, but this whole discussion just seems so pointless.
I think there's a new generation that's being formed that live in the land, that recognize each other's suffering, identity, and want to build something further.
Again, I say this not as a criticism to Rudy, because I really commend Rudy for being so strong in his ideology, in his really, truly wanting to build a peace. And again, I want to build peace too. I'm just a little bit more realistic about it. I think that debate and conversation is important. I'm only saying that when we show up for debate and conversation, we must demand that they too acknowledge our connection to the land, our rights as an indigenous people, that atrocities were done to us, that we have legitimate grievances, and then we can have a conversation. Because the whole conversation of one state versus two state is irrelevant when they don't see our presence in the land as legitimate at all.